Hey YouTube, it's like 12:30 in the afternoon. I have not been to sleep yet. Monkey Butt over here is having some trouble with her belly. And she won't sleep unless I'm holding her, and she's, obviously fussy and all that. And it's been a long fucking day already, and it's only noon. Yeah, for some reason my boobs, attacking them, that makes her feel better, so whatever, I'm not using them. Oh yeah, I have been very, very sick this past week. Apparently I had a really bad kidney infection, and I went to the hospital on Tuesday, and I don't even want to talk about that. Like, I don't even want to, I don't even want to fucking talk about that. But the one thing they did right was give me antibiotics for my kidney infection. And yeah, I keep waiting to get better, and I'm not getting better. I just threw up for absolutely no reason a couple hours ago. Yeah, so it's been one of those weeks. But that is not what I'm here to talk about. I just thought I would explain why I look like death, because I feel like death. This morning, like between 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning, I was kind of looking for something to do because I really didn't feel like writing, which, by the way, I wrote a couple of paragraphs the other day. Yay me. And you're showing my bra to everybody. My God, some asshole would probably fucking report that. It's not breastfeeding. It's okay. There's no nipple. Anyway, don't even get me started on that. I was bored, and one thing I have always wanted to see is, or since it came out anyway, it's been out for about 2 years. It's this movie that Tim Burton did called Big Eyes, about this married couple that did these paintings that were apparently very famous in the 60s. I had personally never seen them until I read the article about the movie coming out, but they're kind of cool. I kind of like them. But anyway, the story goes that, or all I got from it when I first went into watching this movie was that the husband used his name for the wife. It was almost like at first it was amicable, and then they got a divorce, and he thought he was still going to take all the credit, and that's when things went wrong. That's what I took from the article that I read, so that's what I thought I was getting myself into. No. By the way, if you have not seen Big Eyes and you want to see it, stop this now, because this is all fucking spoilers. I'm literally probably going to describe the entire movie, because that is what I do with movies. I'm sorry. In the beginning, she is this 50s housewife that has an abusive husband, and she's got the guts up to leave him and take their daughter and go. So that's what she does. And she ends up selling, little portraits on a boardwalk, and she's selling them practically for pennies. And this guy that has a stand next to her sees her work, comes over, and, he's like, "Why are you selling yourself so short? You're so talented, blah, 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 blah." Charms her, wines and dines her, tells her how amazing she is. They fucking, I think they went to fucking Paris, and, he's supposed to be a painter too, by the way. Just keep that part of the story in your mind. And she got served papers by her husband saying that, or her ex-husband saying that he was trying to take custody of her daughter. Now, we're talking the 1950s. She's carousing around with another man. He probably could have got custody of her daughter for that. So, her and this charming douche nugget get married, and his psychosis don't begin right away, which is usually how it is with sociopaths. But after he has control of her work, which happened almost by accident, they were both displaying, like, at first, anytime her work was mistaken for his, he would correct people on it. I'm going, alright, that's cool, that's the right thing to do. Well, then he realized her work was getting much more attention than his. And, he ripped down the flyers that he had up at this bar he was running space at that had pictures of them both and described which one was the painter of which, kind of painting. And started taking credit for all of them. And at first, she was pretty pissed. She was like, don't fucking do that again. And well, she didn't say fucking because she's 50's housewife. But he was like, well, nobody's going to buy them if they think you did them because you're a woman. And he fucks with her head so bad that eventually she's like, oh my god, you're so right. Go ahead and take credit for all of my work. And he basically fucking, like, locks her in a room, or makes her lock herself in a room, and fucking paint all these paintings she's not allowed to take any credit for. And by the end of it, he is more or less convinced himself that they are his paintings. He painted them. Like, he's a total fucking sociopath. The night that she ended up leaving him, he started throwing matches at her and her, at that point, teenage daughter, because a fucking decade had passed to this bullshit. And eventually managed to catch the room that they were in on fire, and thankfully they were able to get out through a glass door and leave. But this dude was a fucking nut job. And you may think that, like, people like that are hard to find, but I'm telling you, they're not as hard to find as you might think. I got a fucking ex just like him. And I'm sure some of y'all do too. And I'm not talking about the ex that you're just like, God, he was such a dick. No. You gotta be honest with yourself and gauge the situation. I'm talking about the true blue fucking sociopath. But, anyway. At the end of the movie, at some point her and her daughter go away to Hawaii after she leaves him. And, she gets a divorce and all that, but when he says he wants a divorce, when she said she wanted a divorce, he said he would never give it to her unless she agreed to paint 100 more paintings of the Big Eye girls. And with his name on it, of course. And, she was gonna do it. Even after the divorce was final and she had no reason to do it, just because she struck the bargain with him, she was literally going to do it. And she became a Jehovah's Witness, and there was something in the Holy Book of Jehovah's Witnesses, I'm not sure what it's called, but it's like their version of the Bible or whatever. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, I really don't know what it's called. But there was something in there that talked about how you have to be honest in all situations, and she was like, well, I've been a liar in this one, and I need to tell the truth. So she did the paintings. And she signed them with her initials that she used when she was allowed to paint the few paintings that looked nothing like the Big Eye girls that she was allowed to paint and display, but not very many, of course. She signed him with those initials instead of signing his name. And, of course, he was not pleased with that. But and she did this interview with this Hawaiian radio show. And she told the whole story of everything that happened, and the news spread like wildfire. Well, he had a reporter that he had been talking to since before he got big, and he was telling him, I need a big story, I need this, I need that, whatever. And he painted this tale that she was like some fucking psychopath, and that she was just talking out of her ass or whatever. And she was basically like, no, I'm not going to stand for this anymore. So she took his ass to court for slander. And by the end of it, the judge was like, well, the only way I think we can determine who's telling the truth is to have you guys paint. Surprise, surprise, he couldn't do it, And she won. She won the court case. And again, it was based on a true story. And at the end of it, you find out that she was quite old in that picture. I can't remember if it said she passed away or not, but it said that she still painted every single day and all that. So, like, she got her identity back. He stole her voice. Because to me, in my opinion, anybody's creative outlet is their voice. But especially for a woman, and I'm not saying that to be a sexist bitch or a feminist, I mean, I am a feminist, but I'm not the feminist that's like, fuck men, you know. I'm just a regular, we all need to be like equal or whatever. No. Oh fuck, I lost my train of thought. Hold on, give me a second. Damn it. Hold on, I may have to shut it down and restart, because this is how my brain's gonna go until I sleep and I can't get tired. Oh yeah, okay. Especially women, because for more or less 2,000 years, the creative voices of women were stripped away in Europe and America. They were just fucking stripped away. I'm not answering that. Oh god, I have to answer it. I'll be right back, guys. Sorry about that. Okay, so, women had their creative voices stripped away for, like I said, 2,000 years, more or less. You know, they weren't allowed to act. They weren't allowed to write. They weren't allowed to paint. They weren't allowed to dance. They weren't allowed to sing. Like, they were not allowed their voice. In my opinion, again, creativity is your voice. It is the way that you show what is truly going on inside you. Like, you can sit there and you can lie to everybody really, really well about how you're actually feeling inside, but you paint a certain painting or you write a certain poem and it's gonna come out. Now, of course, you know, we all have like the stupid silly shit that we do and we write, but we also usually, as human beings, can read or see or whatever, hear the difference between like a pop song and a ballad that actually had real heart put into it, or you get what the fuck I'm saying. Anyway, it's like that was another, like a great big way to control women. You take away their creative voice and then they're mute. They're, you know, what power do they have? Like, if you can't speak, because to me, taking that away, you might as well blindfold me, sew my mouth shut, tie my hands behind my back, because I cannot communicate the part of me that is a writer. I don't know how to describe it. Like, my writing is a part of me that I need in order to function and communicate and be who I am. And if you in any way, shape, or form try to take that away from me, you might as well just blindfold me, sew my mouth shut, and tie my hands behind my back, because that's what it is. Oh goodness gracious, she's sleeping soundly. Anyway, and you know, this was obviously, probably, most likely, meant to be a tactic of control by the men who ran the show in Europe and then later in America. I'm sure it was. Like, you don't let women out of the house. You give them two identities, mother and wife, and that is it. And to this day, we tend to look at each other that way. I mean, and other, you know, guys look at us that way, and we look at ourselves that way. There's nothing wrong with that. If you have a child, you know, of course you look at yourself like, I'm her mom. If you got an old man, I'm his wife. But you need that other part of you too. And no one, even if you can't paint, and you can't write, and you're not a good singer, and you can't really dance, everybody has something that they do that is their thing. Whether it's working on cars, I know a lot of people in my family, that is their thing. Working on cars, coloring books, making necklaces and bracelets and stuff like that, whatever it is. That is a very big piece of who you are that belongs only to you. And I don't think that we focus on stories or movies that highlight stories like the one in Big Eyes. We don't really focus on, gee, what happens when a man strips a woman of her creative voice and doesn't let her be who she is and takes it, literally takes her identity and won't give it back, you know? She had to take that motherfucker to court. Reminded me of Ike and Tina. Anyway, that was another fucking psychopath. Anyway, it was something that was done so many times throughout history. Like, think about, oh, by the way, I'm really sorry about the extremely chapped lips. I'm very dehydrated, and for some reason, no matter how much water I've been drinking, it's not helping. Throughout history, that was something that was done repeatedly. Women sometimes had to ask men, hey, you know, or they would make up a male name, because you couldn't get published if you were a woman. If you were a woman, women couldn't write. It was not allowed, period. Like, it was a tactic to keep you in line and keep you in control. And it worked just like it worked on her in the movie. I am totally blanking out on her name. So please forgive me on that. Hopefully it'll come back to me eventually. This is my brain fog with no sleep. At least it has a reason to act this way today. Normally it just comes out of the blue. Anyway, I think that we, as grown women, need to seek out these stories of women throughout history who tried to take their creative voices back. Like Mary Wollstonecraft, I think I'm pronouncing her last name right, I think that's what it was. She was the mother to Mary Shelley, but she was a big-time feminist in, like, the late 18th century in England, and she was, like, despised. I believe she had Mary out of wedlock. I don't know if she was ever, like, married or with Mary's dad. I can't remember. Like, I devoured her biography, and I can't fucking remember any of it now. But if you don't know who she is and you don't know her story, please, for the love of God, go read about her, because she was a hell of a woman. I really, really like her. She was somebody who, she did not give a damn if they put her in prison. She did not give a damn if they, you know, what they did. Oh, my stuff's running low. Hang on a minute. I'm going to have to change positions. Close your eyes, guys. Gotta change the baby and the computer and not drop the computer. For those of you going, or not drop the baby. I'm going to use... Oh, I think somebody pooped. Alright, I am literally using the little bed that the baby sleeps in. Oh, right, don't baby. Well, Zeus don't bump it. Zeus bumps it. Oh, by the way, my house is a fucking disaster area. Okay, anyway. You cool? You gonna go back to sleep? Okay, here's your Patsy. Anyway, as I was saying, we need to find these stories about women who, even if they had to write under the name of a man, or they had to, you know, they were kind of, because I feel like Mary Wollstonecraft, I believe that's her last name. I knew it's close, so you can probably find her if it's not exactly it. I know that she has, in many ways, been buried by history. Like, I don't know how many of you were taught about her in school, but, like, for the most part, you don't really hear about her. You hear tons about her daughter, Mary Shelley, who was married to Lord Byron, and it's funny, because she's remembered more, I think, than Lord Byron these days. But, you don't really hear much about her mother, the activist, who wrote many essays, papers, things like that. I don't know if they called them fucking essays in the late 18th century, but that's what we would call them today. Articles for papers, things like that, that were considered completely... they wanted to bury her. And she just kept on trucking. You know, whether it was a woman like that was bold, or whether it was a woman who was like, you know, I'm gonna do my thing, but I'm gonna do it on the sly, and I'll let... Oh, hold on, doll baby. Hold on, doll baby. There it is. There's your Cassie. You can hold my hand. Oh my god, you want Mom to talk without a hand? Well, how am I gonna gesture? Can I use your hand? Okay, anyway. We need to find these stories of these women who, in times when they were denied their creative voices, they found ways to express them anyway. And we need to always keep that. I'm really sorry about my lips. God, they look all. We need to always keep that fact that women were controlled in that way alive in the minds of our kids and our grandkids and our great-grandkids. Like, we need to teach our daughters to never, ever, ever let anybody take that piece of them that's just for them away. Even if they become a mom, even if they become a wife, even if they see themselves in relation, to their family members and their friends, instead of necessarily seeing themselves as one whole person. We need to teach them to just have that piece, if nothing else, of them that is still them. For me, it is writing. No matter what has happened in my life, no matter what fucking abusive psychopath I had to put up with, I always was able to write. And that is how I was able to get through everything that I've been through since I was 12 years old. That is my piece of me that I will never let anybody take away. But, some women, especially back then, the woman in Big Eyes, she felt she had a choice. She grew up in the 30s and 40s, for Christ's sake. But even nowadays, there are women who get themselves in situations like she did, where they're charismatic at first, everything seems wonderful, and then they do something, and they feel like they have you in that position where they got you trapped, and they start ripping pieces away from you, and eventually they get to that piece that was just for you. And that's when a lot of women just lose hope. And you just can't. Like, no matter what goes on in your life, you can't do that. Because I believe, truly, that is the piece that if you let other people take it from you, when you are sick or dying or, sitting there at the end of your life, however it comes, and you're thinking about regrets, to me that would have to be number one, was I gave the most important piece of myself away. Or I let somebody take the most important piece of myself. Or this fucker just stole, whatever. I feel like that is one thing, besides of course your children and your spouse and everything, that you would miss at the end of your life. I don't know. I don't know if this video makes any sense. I hope it does. Leave comments and tell me if it sounds fucking crazy or if you get it or whatever. Just, and I'm not trying to be sexist, like, oh, women need to be creative, fuck men. No, it's like, let's examine the ratio of female-driven art versus male-driven art over the past 100 years, let alone the past 2 fucking millennia. Let's measure that, and then tell me I shouldn't be promoting female art. Just saying. And by the way, if gluing macaroni to a plate is how you express what is inside of you that day, that is art. I don't know. That's how I've always looked at art. No matter what it is that you do that's your thing, it's art. Alright, I'm gonna quit rambling and being crazy, and sometime this afternoon, maybe I'll sleep and get some goddamn chapstick on these lips. When I feel a little better, I'm going to get back to doing the YouTube Pagan Challenge videos. I may even do some tonight, I don't know. But I love you guys, and I hope y'all remember to smile. Ow!